Please prepare yourself to sit calmly. You can put your palms together or in a meditative way. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang saranang gacchami, dhammang saranang gacchami, sanghang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami, dutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami, dutiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami, tatiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami, tatiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami, tatiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. Panatipata veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Adinādāna veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Kāmesu miccacara veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Musāvāda veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Surameraya Majjapamadattana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, now we'll do a bit of loving kindness meditation. As always, before we start, make sure you're sitting comfortably. Remember, especially for beginners, the most important thing is at the start, check your posture. Sit on some soft bedding or hard cushion, and or you can sit on the chair with a straight back. Don't sit on the what do you call that sofa? The one that kind of curves in and it's a bit. It will tire your back quite easily. So flat chair with a straight back, or against the wall also can. And then you can support your knees if you're not comfortable, especially as people get old, or many Westerners who don't do yoga, you may have to, your knees will go up, so support them with some cushion. Today we're going to do loving kindness. I'm going to give you instructions. So it's not exactly strict meditation because I'll be talking a lot to instruct you. So these are instructions. Remember the steps. Then you go back and practice on your own. And remember the things to watch. Then you can ask during question time about your practice. Of course, sometimes even as you sit here, in our nature, there is this desire for peace. So sometimes even as we sit down quietly, we can feel very peaceful. So meditation can be quite surprising. Which one in loving kindness? We clear our minds of any negative thoughts, unhappy thoughts. Sometimes we may not like ourselves for some reason. We even hate ourselves in some cases. So for some people, the first stage may be very difficult for a few people, If that is the case, then you don't start with stage 1. You can start with the stage that you are most comfortable with. It doesn't matter which stage. 1, 2, 3, 4, any one. You can start with that, which is the easiest. Always start with the easiest, and then go on to follow the sequence after that. And put the most difficult stage last. So if you are angry with yourself, you don't like yourself, if you can't start with doing loving kindness to yourself, then put yourself last. Otherwise, we start with ourselves using some happy words. May I be well. May I be well. Say those words like you are instructing a child to sleep, or you are telling this little baby something nice. Say the words, silently feel it. Feel the wellness in your body and mind, and smile. Smiling is very important in this meditation. It makes you meditate better by pushing away distractions. May I be happy. May I be happy. Say the words 2-3 times, and then silently feel happy in your body and mind, your whole being. Smile. May I be at peace with myself. May I be at peace with myself. I accept myself just as I am. I accept myself just as I am. Smile. You can also use your own words, any nice, beautiful words. Put it in a beautiful way. You can also say, for example, may I be free from anger. May I be free from fear. So you only need to choose 1 or 2 sentences and repeat those sentences, then smile in between. They are instructions, actually. Those sentences are instructions telling your body and mind to be happy. Now, in the second stage, picture your best friend, the kindest person in your life, someone who's always there for you, always happy, smiling. Just to think of this person makes you happy. Someone still living, still alive, a relative, a friend, or a teacher. Picture this person in front of you, sitting and meditating, smiling, or sitting beside you. If you can't picture the person, then use the name. And you're talking to this person, like the way I'm talking to you now, and tell this person, may you be well. May you be well. Then silently send out the feeling and smile just like before. Tell this person, may you be happy. May you be happy. Smile. May you be at peace with yourself. May you be at peace with yourself. Smile. I accept you just as you are. I accept you just as you are. So same thing, use one or two sentences and send your thoughts to this wonderful person. And also picture some happy moments you have with this person. When you use visualization, remember, we want to have the feeling, the joy. Don't get lost in the story. We just want the story to bring us the happy moments, to feel them, to feel it. Now, visualize a beautiful white lotus in the center of your heart. This white lotus is opening up, blossoming, and shining a bright light, radiant like the sun itself. This bright light is your loving kindness. You can't see loving kindness, but now you can. It's this bright light. This bright light is brightening up your whole body with loving kindness. This bright light is shining outwards like the rising sun, brightening everything around you, brightening the whole room, the space around you, shining on this wonderful friend, enveloping this wonderful friend with your loving kindness, a bright, warm light. Now extend this bright light to your whole house, to all the neighbors, wishing them well and happy, to the whole floor, if you're living in Singapore in the flats. Basically, extend your loving kindness outwards to the neighborhood, like this bright light coming from you and brightening up all around you. And go as far as you like, to the whole city, to all the people you know, even to your relatives and friends, wishing them well and happy. The whole country, slowly extend, cover in stages. Singapore is very small, so it's easy. If it's a bigger country, then do it more slowly. So as you go around, as you spread your loving kindness, then you begin to remember the people in your life, picture them, speak to them in your practice, in your loving kindness, and you'll be surprised with the results. So this is for you to practice on your own, the different steps. Take as much time as you like in each step. You will know when you feel you want to move on. Now we're sitting here in front of our cameras, connected with many people all over the world through Zoom. So I'm sending my loving kindness to you, every one of you here. And you in turn send your loving kindness to others. So we're all connected with this beautiful bright light, shining thread of bright light in this dark world. So we are this beautiful network of loving kindness. May you be well. May you be well. Smile. May you be happy. May you be happy. May you be at peace with yourself. May you be at peace with yourself. I accept you just as you are. Smile at everyone. And now we come to the most important stage in our loving kindness practice. This is called breaking the barriers. Breaking the barriers, that means we do not have any limits, no barriers. We send out our loving kindness boundlessly, everywhere, throughout the universe. This is as far as our consciousness can go, beginning with the front directions. May all the beings in the front directions be well and happy. Shine the bright light of loving kindness from your heart, frontwards, brighten everything, right to the end of the universe. And smile. May all the beings in the directions to the right be well and happy. May all the beings in the directions to the right be well and happy. And smile. May all the beings in the directions at the back be well and happy. May all the beings in the directions at the back be well and happy. May all the beings in the directions to the left be well and happy. Brighten all the space on your left. May all the beings in the directions below be well and happy. Shine the bright light of your loving kindness in the quarter below. And smile. May all the beings in the directions above be well and happy. Shine the bright light of your loving kindness upwards. Brighten everything upwards. And smile. At this point, let us review our practice. That means remember the peaceful moments, joyful moments. Even for a split second, you felt good, remember it. This will help you in your future meditations or whenever you need inner peace. Just remember this. It also will help you when you meditate the next time. This review period is also the time you recall any difficulties you face. Remember those difficulties and just keep in mind how it started, how it can end. Prepare yourself the next time. So this is reviewing your practice. If you want to read suttas, this is the time. At the end of the meditation, you can read a short sutta or make some notes about your meditation. Now, before we end, you may just open your eyes and do what is called just sitting for a short while to come back to the world. We begin our meditation slowly, gently. We end it also slowly, gently. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Now we will begin our class for today. All right. Today's talk is on right effort. Okay, this is our journey on the path of awakening. Early Buddhism is a path. Path, that means you must make an effort. Okay, that is why the Buddha reminds us of self-effort, okay, self-reliance, because no one can help you except yourself, right? As they say, you can bring a horse to water, but you cannot make it drink, right? Same thing with cats also, right? I can bring my cats to the food, but they have to decide to eat or not. So we have to make this effort. The journey reminds us of this. Now, the interesting thing is the journey is not exactly a nice road in front of you. You can't see it. The journey is when you start acting in your mind. Of course, the action is through the three doors: body, speech, and mind. It starts in the mind. A simple thought. Say, I want to study suttas. I want to study Pali. I want to be at peace with myself. I want to be kind to others. I want to be strong. So you start there, right? With a thought, and then your action, your speech will follow. So this is your path. The path is the journey. And we have finished the section on moral virtue, that is how to refine our body and speech so that our actions of body and speech, the precepts especially, do not become a burden and a hindrance to us. The thing about breaking precepts is that once you start sitting down peacefully, quietly, then all these thoughts start coming back. Why did I do this? What happened? And then you start thinking about this and you won't be able to meditate. And then you feel bad about it. I mean, if you're a bad person, it gets worse. If you're a good person, then you feel guilty about it. So it's a difficult situation if you don't keep the precepts. So we start by keeping the precepts. So we must have some wisdom, in other words, how we want to plan our journey, okay? And this wisdom, of course, you have the simple worldly wisdom, and you have the higher wisdom, and then the liberating wisdom. So I'm talking about the simple daily wisdom that we all should know, how to keep the precepts, because the precepts are the foundation for you to meditate. When you meditate, we're doing it more happily, more effectively. So you remember, I often say, especially at the end of the class, remember what you have done. When you join this class, you are keeping the precepts, right? So you may think, oh, I'm not keeping the precepts really, I've been breaking so many precepts. But not during this period, these 2 hours, you've been keeping the precepts. Very well. So remember these 2 hours as your seed, so to speak. So that is your recollection, your precepts, and then you go on to your meditation. That's the wisdom we use for our practice, okay? So of course, on the more serious level, wisdom is about right view, looking at things rightly, that we are responsible for our actions, for example, right? And then that all things are impermanent is all parts of right view. Then you notice number 2 here is right intention. So your intention must be right. You meditate to free your mind of ideas and thoughts, to be happy, and not to gain magical powers or whatever other funny things, just to be free mentally, to put it in a simple way, right? So now here we've started at number 3, which is the wisdom, how we approach the situation. And then earlier on, I mentioned to you about the basis, that is moral virtue. Here you are. Notice it is at the bottom. It is supporting the rest of the pyramid, okay? And we already done all this. Sila Kanda. Sila means moral virtue. Sila. Notice the I has a macron over it, a line over it. Sila, okay? Be careful, we don't say Sila. If you say short the I without a macron, Sila, it means a stone, okay? So this is Sila, okay? And then the extra K is to make the pronunciation easier, to jump from Sila to Kanda. Sila Kanda. Kanda here means aggregate, okay? Kanda usually means like a tree trunk, okay? But here it is used figuratively, aggregate collection. Sila Kanda, the aggregate of moral virtue, or the group of moral virtue. There are 3: right speech, right action, right livelihood, which we have talked about before. So this is the basis of our practice, which is number 2, training in concentration, right? Calming our minds, directing our minds in the right way. So you notice here, we can talk about all these the three trainings, as they're called, in any way we like. You can pick one and start there. So they kind of, it's like a 3-lane highway, if you like, or like a wire with 3 lines, three what you call 3 wires, 3 cords in it. Okay, so, but in terms of when we talk about practice, Sila is the basis for concentration, both of which are the basis for wisdom. Okay. Then in theory, wisdom, number 3, must underlie all the other 1 and 2, right? So they work like that. They work hand in hand. Okay. So this is a big overview of the path. All right. So this is samadhi, means concentration, and you have right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration. Notice today we're doing number 6. So we're kind of right in the middle of the path, so to speak. And we have 2 more to go. Right mindfulness is about the 4 Satipatthana. So don't miss this one. It's very interesting. I think it's going to be at least 2 sessions on right mindfulness. And the right concentration. Wow, this is a bit more about deep meditation, the dhyānas, okay? So those are coming, okay? So today we're going to talk about right effort. So what is right effort? You can see the word vāyāma there. That's another word for effort. There are what are called the 4 right efforts. You have number 1 is called the effort of restraining, or restrained if you like. Samvara. Né? Then here, let me show you number 2 first. Né? So number 2, the effort of abandoning, letting go. All right. So number 1 is restrain, like the precepts. Has to do with restraint. Number 2 is letting go. Okay. So these 2 deal with our negative aspects, the bad, unwholesome states. In the case of effort 1, restraining, we restrain whatever bad states or things that have not arisen and unarisen bad, unwholesome state. For example, if you have not smoked, you don't smoke. You keep it that way. So this action of non-action. If you have not drunk or got drunk before, you don't want to get drunk. Okay? You keep it that way. So it's very easy. It's the effort of non-effort. Keep it that way. That's the meaning. Number 1. That is an effort, by the way, because it is amazing, right? The effort of non-effort. Number two is effort of abandoning. So let's say you have done it. They say, oops, I should have been doing this. When I was a young boy, a teenager, I love to, like many boys, you love to catch fish. You have all this tropical fish in Malaysia. And of course, I love fishing too. And I have quite a frightful hobby, catching butterflies, and you have to kill those butterflies and kind of frame them up and so on. So when I told a monk about this, he was horrified. And so I told him, okay, I have to stop all this, if I want to be a good Buddhist. So you have to let go of all these hobbies of killing. And so in other words, whatever has happened, an arisen, bad, unwholesome state, you let it go. Padhāna means letting go. Notice that the word here is padhāna, so that's another word for effort. Vāyāma, Padhāna, okay. Padhāna usually refers to people like us. We are not yet on the path. So to make this effort is Padhāna. Okay. Now we come to number three, the effort of cultivating. Here we grow this good habit. Let me show you number four, so they're connected. Number four is the effort of guarding, okay? Maintaining, keep going. So you cultivate, you start doing this good thing, and then you keep it going. So 3 and 4, in other words, deal with the good aspects of our lives, good habits. Number 3 is the effort of cultivating an unarisen, good, wholesome state. Now, it's got a very beautiful Pali word, bhavana. Bhavana is also the general word for meditation, cultivation. It comes from the root word bhu, meaning to be, the verb to be, to become. So again, padhāna is used, bhavana, cultivation. Of course, we translate generally also as meditation, bhavana, right? But the literal meaning is cultivation. When we talk about efforts, we translate bhavana as cultivation or cultivating. Effort number 4 is guarding or maintaining. We keep going in that direction of the arisen good, the good that we have cultivated, we keep on doing. Like we have been meditating, we have been keeping the precepts, we keep doing it. We have been listening to suttas, we keep doing it. So every time you come here, you sit here, you are putting in for effort number 4. Anurakkhana padhāna. See, rakhana itself already means taking care, rakhana. Anu means again and again, repeatedly. Okay, so anurakkhana, you keep on guarding this something good that you already have. So there you are. 4 efforts: restraining, abandoning, cultivating, guarding. Samvara, Padhāna, bhavana, anurakkhana, padhāna. So you can also translate padhāna as striving, by the way, yeah? If you want to read more, here you are. The reference is 1016. 1016 is a special volume on the Eightfold Path, section 6.1. So here in the suttas, okay, the Buddha speaks of the 4 right strivings or 4 right efforts. So here notice we have different words for the same thing. So we have to get used to this in Pali especially. The Buddha sometimes use different words, but they mean the same thing. So here bhikshus, a monk, meaning a meditator, brings forth desire for the restraint of unarisen, bad, unwholesome states. Okay, so here notice the word desire is used in a good way, a good wish. So desire is a neutral term, but here it means a good desire for the restraint of unwholesome, unarisen, bad, unwholesome states. Samvara. He makes an effort, arouses energy, applies his mind, and strives. Notice the 3 words actually mean the same thing. Effort, arouses energy, applies his mind, and strives. All right, so because it's from the mind that this effort comes. Number 2, here bhikshus, a monk brings forth desire for the abandoning, padhāna, okay, of arisen, bad, unwholesome states. he makes an effort, rouses energy, applies his mind, and strives. The third one is, here Bhikshu Samang brings forth desire for the cultivating of unreasoned wholesome states. Right? So here the keyword is cultivating. Notice here it starts in the mind, mental state. So you start by telling yourself, this is what I want to do. Right? And number 4, here Bhikshu Samang brings forth desire for the guarding or maintaining of a reasoned wholesome states. So it all starts in the mind. Okay. So these are the 4 right efforts according to the. You can find this passage in many suttas. All right. So now let's see how do the saints, those who have reached the path, how do they do this? Right effort is the awakening factor of energy. Right? Notice, once in the case of the saints, the streamliners onwards, they have energy. The effort becomes energy. Okay, virya. It starts with this wonderful energy. They just want to dedicate all their energy, everything, their body, speech, and mind to spiritual training. And now, of course, if you want to go to the highest level, arahathood especially, then you need the support of deep meditation to clear our minds of all entanglements, any kind of restraint by the senses. That's how you reach the highest jhana, deep meditation. And all this begins with mindfulness and clear knowing. And the thing is, if we are living in the city, we are busy with learning and so on, reading, it's going to be very difficult to get jhana, okay? That is why when you look at the suttas, you hear stories only the monks are getting all these wonderful mental powers because they are the ones who do meditation very regularly and they can reach very deep meditation. I mean, the point is that if you are a busy lay person, you don't have to get jhana. You can't get jhana anyway at this stage. But then again, I'm kind of making an oversimplified kind of summation. Sometimes your good karma, you may come back from the past, and then it just comes to you in a moment of peace. You might get a glimpse of it, but I suppose that's something possible. I wouldn't say it's always the case, but it's possible you get this kind of feeling, and it's always wonderful. But if you don't know if you do not read the suttas, if you do not understand the teachings, then you have all kinds of wrong ideas about this. And the worst part, you get teachers who are themselves, in Singapore we say they are blurred. They themselves are ignorant and confused, and they tell all kinds of things which make things worse. So in other words, you can have something good, but you can go in the wrong direction. But remember, when you meet someone like the Buddha, you will get back into the right direction. But you got to meet such a person. And that's another thing about spiritual friendship. So it's better not to get into trouble with meeting the wrong people who confuse you, people who draw away your energy. And then you find you're tired, you're unhappy, you don't feel like doing anything, you feel like giving up the good thing you've been doing. So that's not good. These are the toxic people best to avoid, okay? So here we want our mind to be calm and clear. That's why we do meditation. You can do mindfulness practice also, simple mindfulness like reflecting on impermanence. Mindfulness here means you're aware in your daily life. You don't have to go into deep meditation so that your mind is habitually calm and clear. And I'm sure most of you are habitually calm and clear, even when you do have certain personal difficulties. Because for you to know you have personal difficulties, for you to want to talk about it, and for you to want to get out of it, definitely that comes from a very peaceful part of your being. So that is what is good. You start there, okay? So this is where with your energy, or for yourself, for us, our effort, we see directly, we get a glimpse into true reality. The thing is, although we may see directly into true reality, like someone passes away, someone we know very well passes away, and then we are looking at his body, but still we don't get the message. Whereas in the case of these saints, they see it directly, very clearly. So, right? So this is what their energy does for them. So for this kind of saints, the right view empowers right effort. That's how they get this effort into energy. Okay, from sammā padhāna, it becomes sammā vāyāma. Okay, so effort means you have to kind of like work. You have to put in some work. Whereas in the case of the Supramundane onwards, it's very natural for him. He's already bubbling with energy, because you notice happy people are full of energy. So for us, we can start there by being happy, and you find that's where your energy comes from. And for us, we can work with right striving, all right? Then the saints have right effort, and then you direct your will, your mind, your desire in the right direction to find out how to come and clear your mind. So stream winners and other saints, their effort, we normally call it energy, virya. You see the word virya, it comes from the word vir. Vir is in Latin, has also got this idea of like life, like we say something is virile, okay? And vira in Pali and Sanskrit, vira means hero, okay? It's a hero. Someone who puts in energy is a hero. Okay? So when you meditate and you go on meditating, you don't give up, you are this mental hero. So for these saints, for these stream winners onwards, this energy arises naturally in them, right? So if you keep in touch with the Dharma, you study the suttas, you find you have lots of this wonderful energy, because these bad people do not take them away from you. There is a sutta called the Padhāna Sutta. Chatu means 4, and Padhāna means efforts. A4.14. Okay. Here again, to remind us, there is first the effort to prevent. It's another word you can remember. The effort to prevent the arising of unarisen, bad, wholesome states. Things which are negative and not happen to you, keep it that way. Understand, for example, we should understand the nature of the mental hindrances, right? What are the things that prevent us from meditating, especially negative desires, wanting things which are not helpful to us. And the opposite of that is hate, ill will. Okay, when you cannot get something, you feel negative, angry, and so on. That's the other way around. You have to recognize these states, accept them for what they are. And then there is this, you feel tired, sleepy, all right? You got to find out, is anything wrong with your meditation? And then you have the number 4, this uneasiness, restlessness, worry. Why are they happening? We'll talk about a bit more later. And then the last one is doubt. You start wondering what's going on. That's why we need to study suttas. You need a bit of wisdom there. So you got to, this effort to prevent is you must find out a little bit more about what are the 5 mental hindrances, so that you know what is troubling your meditation, what is preventing you from getting that calm and clarity in your meditation. And the 5 mental hindrances are these things you need to know to avoid them. 5 dangers to avoid, 5 symptoms to avoid. And on a daily basis, you can practice what is called the restrain of the senses, indriya samvara. Okay? Basically, here it means don't indulge your senses when you don't have to. Don't see things which are unhappy when you don't have to. You're sitting in the train and you see someone really negative doing something bad. Now you have friends that are friends will say, look, and you go on looking in the direction, you won't be happy. Remember, your camera, your eyes are like cameras, you look in the direction and your mind is recording it. You're going to remember that unhappy incident. So why bother, okay? Of course, if you watch it with mindfulness and you're telling yourself, this is dangerous, I got to be careful, that is something else, but you need a lot of effort there. So if you're not sure, don't look in the wrong direction. Don't look at all these negative things. Don't listen to negative things like that. Okay, so keep your senses like horses. You hold them back. Don't let them go in the wrong way. There is this dangerous spot in front of you. So this is called restrain of the senses. Hold your 5 horses rein them in properly. In other words, don't let them run wild. Then you have the effort to abandon arisen, bad, unwholesome states. Here you have a bit of right thought coming in. So here basically is letting whatever comes, let it come, let it go. You notice a thought coming. You can stop it, of course, if it is easy enough, but sometimes it's not so easy, especially in meditation. So in that case, don't fight it. Remember, one of the things about meditation, be gentle and friendly. So show loving kindness even to those thoughts that arise in you. All right. So you watch those thoughts coming in. You say, okay, may you be well and happy. I don't want you right now. I'm letting go of you. They're like guests. You know, guests, they come in, we welcome them, and then they go in. But you are at the door welcoming them. You're not going to follow the guests inwards. This is a very famous analogy. So you let them come in, and you let them go in, and then they go away, so to speak. Yeah, let it come, let it go. It's a very popular sentence by meditation teachers. And of course, persistent effort, doing it again and again. Every time your mind wanders, you bring it back. That action of bringing your mind back, that's your right effort in meditation. Every time you bring it back, it's like you don't let go of the leash on the little puppy, and this puppy is going to listen to you after a while. And then number 3 is effort to cultivate, to practice unreasoned, good, wholesome states. Here, you need to know what are the 7 awakening factors. Okay, so it is a very beautiful teaching. There's quite a lot, 7 of them. The first thing, of course, here is mindfulness. All right, mindfulness. You have to make sure your mind is in the right place. And number 2 is when you're mindful, you direct your mindfulness directly. So there's effort, right? So there is investigation of mental states, Dhamma Vicaya, right? Some people translate Dhamma here as studying the Dhamma. Of course, there is still some study of Dhamma, but if you're talking about meditation here, Dhamma means whatever arises in your mind. You have to watch them, notice them as they are, let them come, let them go, if you remember, right? So direct your mindfulness in that direction. Watching the mind, investigating the mind, taking the mind as it is, not adding anything, not minusing anything, just watching as it is. You go on doing that, you don't fight it. Joy, number 4 is joy. Joy arises, zest arises. Yeah? And then there is peace of mind. Peace of mind. Your body and mind are at peace. And then there is this concentration. Your mind's become more focused because it's less distracted. Then equanimity comes in. Equanimity is a general term for a deep state of mind where you're at peace with yourself. So very simply, those are the 7 awakening factors. So get to know them better. You look up ST 10.15 will tell you more about the 7 awakening factors, which is a summary of good meditation. Number 4 is the effort to guard your whatever has arisen, the good things that have arisen. So here is you stay with the 7 factors, 7 awakening factors, and refine them. And you have 2 more interesting practices. One is called wise attention. This is what you do. Wise attention very simply means whatever you experience, whatever you see, even good things like this gathering, you tell yourself, well, I better pay my full attention here because this is just a short while. It's just 2 hours, it's just a moment, really. Very soon it's over. Especially if I don't pay attention, it'll be over. I did not get anything. I've not been listening, so I'm not here actually. So let me be present. Let me listen, because this is not going to last long. It's going to end soon, right? So that's wise attention, looking at the impermanence of things. valuing things in the right way. Yoniso means going down to the roots. Literally, it means down to the womb, yoni. Okay, yoniso, going down to the roots, to the source. Manas means mind. Manasikara, kara means walking. So manasikara means attending or minding, if you like. Yoniso manasikara, wisely minding, wise attention. Okay. So basically, wise attention means reflecting on the impermanence of things, noticing what does it mean when we say something is impermanent. Don't wait until you're my age. No? Then you look at all your friends, suddenly they're all very old. Right? And we call ourselves old friends now. That meaning old is something else. And you don't really look forward to birthdays because they're reminding you how old you are. So I can laugh about it because it's still happy to me anyway. But the point is, you got to reflect on impermanence. So when one birthday comes, I tell myself, oops, one gone, one less to go, you know, things like that. And so I told myself, well, I better go back to my sutta translation. So that's one way of looking at it, all right? That you have less time and you want to do all the good things as possible, all the great things, all the people you want to meet and make happy, right? And in this case, to guard the goodness that have arisen in you, forthright effort, is good to have spiritual friendship, the right kind of friends, not the bottle friends. And all those friends say, come, let's go and drink. Or don't go for your sutta class today, let's go and play mahjong, you know, you can always go next time, you know. There might be no next time because you can be lost by just one foolish action. So spiritual friendship is good friends, people who really care about you, people who are good to you, especially those who teach you Dharma, who guide you. Usually refers to someone who is your teacher, right? Or who takes the role of teaching, guiding you, telling you how to be good, where the good things are, and basically helping you to learn to be calm and clear in your mind, spiritual friendship, okay? Someone who's truly like a clear mirror to you so that you grow to be a truly happy person, like the Buddha and Ananda. That's the classic example of spiritual friendship, right? So here we talk a bit more about effort to prevent. We go into the 5 mental hindrances, okay? So here we're going to a bit detail because this is what we need to know. What are the things that prevent us from meditating? Okay, the first thing is sensual desire, sense-based desire. We see things, we get drawn to it, we get distracted. We hear things, we get upset. We smell things, we get upset, and so on. All the 5 senses kind of cause us to lose ourselves in them. That is the meaning of sensual desire, okay? It's much broader than merely desire. So here, basically, desire for sensual pleasures. We want things to be nice, according to our definition. So we react. We react to what is nice. We want more. We react to what is unpleasant. We don't want it. We hate it. We push it away. And then either we do not know what it is. We get bored. If we cannot identify is it pleasant or unpleasant, we get bored. You know. So that's our reactivity. Because of sensual desire, craving, if you like. That's another word for it. Okay, there are different words. Then the opposite of the other side of the coin is ill will, vyapada, okay? Ill will, they go together. In fact, when you overcome sensual desire, you also overcome ill will, they go together. So ill will here is a dislike towards what is not pleasurable and what hinders sensual pleasures. So when you cannot get what you want, you get very upset, angry, and very negative, and so on. So this is where we lose interest in that particular sense object, and we start running after another. So when one thing cannot bring us happiness, we look for something else. We keep running around in a circle, you know. So the idea is to stay still and solve this problem. Now I have this big cat, a munchkin. It's got a very long tail, and the tip of the tail often itches. And it's very funny when you watch him running around high speed, chasing after its tail, thinking that it will catch its tail by running around. When all they got to do, when this big, huge, dumb cat has to do is to sit still and then just lick the tail or bite the tail, you know, right? So that, we are like that. We keep running around, but we could just be still and then deal with the mind. Okay, so we don't have to chase it round and round. Okay. Now the third mental hindrance is sloth and torpor, pīna. So this is a kind of a sloth, a kind of more physical aspect. Torpor is more a mental aspect. They are interconnected. They make us feel kind of tired and stiff. Sometimes because of bad posture, right? Because when we sit, we didn't check our posture, or sit in a balanced way, sit properly, and so on. That's why when we start our meditation, we have to make sure we are sitting correctly. On the other hand, even if you have sat correctly, maybe you sat too long. We all have a duration. After a while, we have to stop as beginners. So respect that. Don't worry. You're not losing out. It's just that far you can go. It's okay to be tired. Know when to stop, know when to rest. And if you do fall asleep during your meditation, that's fine too. Rest. When you come out of it, you are fresh. Meditative sleep is really wonderful, very restful. And you know, some of these executives do not know how to sleep. I remember we had these busy executives who came running late for our meditation class, and then sits down, catches his breath, and then before you know it, he is already sitting down there, not meditating, but snoring. And I am smiling. I said, oh, that's very good for him, good for you, because at least he has learned to rest. That probably may save his heart. Then after that, I told him, I said, look, you know, you better start revising things in your life, you know, slowing things down and just sit and meditate in a relaxed way. Or sometimes we can have an unsuitable meditation subject, wrong subject, or maybe you should not start with that. So you got to check all this. Maybe you got to start with breath rather than loving kindness, or start with loving kindness rather than breath. So you got to notice all this. If one is difficult, normally the other one will help in these two meditations. So all this can cause you sloth, sleepiness. No? And torpor, of course, is a mental tiredness, which can be caused by any of these two. So just watch them. Number 4 is restlessness and worry. Here, restlessness is kind of you're troubled by thinking about things in the past. You start going back, and then all these thoughts come back, and then you get angry, upset, or sad, whatever. So let go of those thoughts that come from the past. Or you might want to think, daydream, what am I going to do after my meditation? Right, go somewhere, meet someone, and then you feel like getting up and doing it. There you are, you're restless. So let go of all those thoughts of the past or the future, basically. Number 5 is doubt. You start wondering, oh, am I meditating or not? If you have to ask that during meditation, answer is no. Simply no, okay? So don't ask yourself, just do it. Doing suttas, attending classes like this, asking good teachers questions about meditation, that's how you overcome your doubt. Experience helps you to overcome doubt. Being observant, you look at yourself through your practice and notice all the patterns, and you discover something about yourself. So through your meditation, you also learn more about yourself. So observe that and make mental notes. So these are the 5 mental hindrances. And we'll take a short break here, about 5 minutes, and then we'll come back, okay? Right, let's continue. Okay, so now let's look at some details on the second effort, that is the effort to prevent or effort to restrain, right? And here, especially with what's called restraint of the senses, indriya samvara, okay? Indriya refers to your senses, okay? This word indriya comes from Indra. Indra is the name of the leader of the gods. Indra also means something like leader. So these senses are what lead us in our lives. So we have to learn to kind of discipline them, so to speak. So Sangvara has this idea of disciplining our senses, because we learn, we become through our senses, including the mind, by the way. So the 6 senses, the 5 physical senses and the mind. Okay, let's see. All right. So sense restraint here means the right effort to prevent, weaken, remove the hindrances, right? So we discipline our senses to cut down, to remove the 5 mental hindrances, okay? Take, for example, especially the first one, the essential desire. Essential desire is the main distractor in our life, in meditation especially. How do we not get distracted by things that we like? Here the Buddha gives us a very interesting hint. Grasp neither its sign nor its detail. Na nimitta gahi hoti, na nuvanjayani gahi. Gahi means to grasp, okay? Nimitta is the first sign, okay? The first thought. And then anuvanjana are the details, okay? Actually here, the last one should be, there should be an S, the details, all right?
Okay.
All right, so here you can see the screen now. Grasp neither its sign nor its detail, okay? Sign and details, there's an S, details. No? Now the advertisers are very good. The advertisers are trying to catch you. They're like the fishermen with their hooks, right? So the moment you enter a shopping mall, what do you experience? Which of your senses are at work? First thing is, well, it depends. For most of us, you can say sound. You hear music, okay? If they play music you don't like, you're very lucky. You're not likely to shop, okay? They've done experiments about this, you know? So you play music you don't like, you're not likely to buy things. And they're full of colors and bright lights. And you notice they have a lot of space in the shopping malls, because people, we love spacious areas, right? So those are the signs. And the next thing is how they place the goods on the shelf. Very catchy, very nice. So you notice when you go shopping, you say, okay, I'm just going to get these things, you know, I'm going to go there and get these things, and you'll just come back with much, much more than what you thought you would just buy. Because they're very good at their job. Why? Because you did not, because you grasp the sign. You grasp the sign, and then that leads you to the details. How not to grasp the sign? You want to buy something, go straight to the shelf, get the thing, and then go away, go back. Once you look, say, wow, this is something nice, it's colorful. What is it? Let me examine. Once you say, what is it? Let me examine it. That's the details already. So that's how you do not get caught, baited and hooked by things you do not want. That's the meaning. This applies to other things too. Don't bring up any negative subject. Then that is the sign. And then you start there, and then all the details come in, then you're not going to be happy. So this is advice on the broad scale, what happens outside you and also what happens in your mind. So just reflect on this. Do not grasp the signs or details. Grasp neither the sign nor the details with the S. No? So the sign here refers to the first glimpse of an object of something, the first idea. And then you have the next start thinking about it. Okay, so this is called vitaka, vichara, no? Vitaka, vichara, okay? Then details are the vichara. When we start examining the signs, then we start looking at the details. All right. So when we are meditating, a good figure is a tortoise. Notice this tortoise is all curled up safely inside the shell. When the tortoise notices a jackal or some animals, predator comes along, this wise tortoise will pull everything in, and all this is just a shell. So this fox or jackal sniffs around and you can't see any limb of the tortoise. Tortoise is all safe, curled up. The jackal or animal will leave this tortoise alone. So the two legs, front two legs, two back legs, and the head, those are the five senses. Or if you like, the head is the mind, and then the tail is another sense. So you have six appendages. So when we meditate, we should be like a tortoise, all curled in, okay, and we are safe, something like that. Yeah, so the tortoise is a very beautiful meditation figure analogy. Now next we have, in the effort of abandon, you have two suttas, Padhāna Sutta, the four efforts, and then nidāna Sutta. All right, our first right thought is not to harbor any wrong thoughts. And second right thought is to cultivate good thoughts, okay? So what do we let go? Let go of sensual desire. Opposite of sensual desire is renunciation, letting go. I don't need this. I'm going to let go of it. We all love food, right? And especially when you get something you really like. And it's very hard to know when to stop. So this is where you got to tell yourself, let me stop here, okay? Or I'm just going to take so many, not too many, right? So you know when to stop. Self-determination. Like for me, at my age, I'm putting on weight. This is the amazing thing. You should see me 50 years ago. I was really skinny, and I'm half my size now, more or less. Those days when I was a young monk, I was very skinny. Now, no matter how little I eat, I still put on weight. Then I realized that I should not eat at night. When I do take supper, when I'm hungry, you know, we do get hungry at night, and when I do eat something, I tend to put on weight. Then if I do not eat at night, it's not really that bad, you know. What I fear is I cannot sleep, but usually it's okay. And I find that I manage my weight that way. Okay, so you know yourself basically. All right, you got to renounce something. So I renounced eating at night. And the Buddha often advises don't eat at night, especially the monks. You're not supposed to eat after 12 anyway, you know. Of course, those who curi-curi makan, as we say, those who break the precept about taking food outside the wrong hours, we can see them chubby and looking healthy. Not that they should look unhealthy, but they look kind of very worldly, you know. So we know they've not been keeping to that rule. So be reborn as pretas in the next life, all right? So that's not good. Now, the next thought we should get rid, negative thought, is hatred, ill will, right? We are Padhāna, how to get rid of that. And you can see on the right side, we think of non-violence. We don't want to hurt anyone, all right? I mean, we can say things about people, but we're not going to be violent with them, okay? So this gentleness, non-violence, loving kindness is very important. Number 3 here is actually acting out that nasty aspect, violence itself. Okay, so that's definitely not good. Okay, so the opposite of that is non-cruelty. We don't think cruel thoughts, right? You find in some culture people can get really nasty and cruel. They carry guns, things like that. So it's their culture. They're living in such a difficult environment. But we're fortunate enough not to be that kind of environment. So we hope we don't get to the kind of situation like Myanmar today. Hoping all these things will pass quickly. You don't have to be cruel and violent to each other, right? So these are things we can't control. Some we can if we work hard to do it. So these are guidance for us. Now we're going to the effort to abandon a bit more. What can we do to abandon negative states? The perception of impermanence, anicca saññā. This is the most important practice for lay people. This has not been emphasized enough, okay? We always talk about rituals and ceremonies, and we become proud of it, you know, and we start talking about it, and it doesn't really help us. For lay people, the main practice is really simple. It's perception of impermanence. You begin with a simple practice of not seeing things as permanent, even something which you think is troubling you. Let it come, let it go. It's when you think that you cannot help yourself, that you're weak, then you encourage it to stay on. So just do what needs to be done. There is one sutta, the Buddha just says that, a very short sutta. He says, if you have done your best and the best did not work, then ask yourself a simple question. What shall I do next? What shall I do next? What shall I do next? Let it come, let it go. So please remember this, okay? These things have been repeated because we forget, but let me tell you, remember this. Let it come, let it go. What should I do next? So then there is the action of non-action. Don't do anything. Sometimes you wonder, we're angry, we want to do something. Sometimes it's better to think twice. I say, okay, let me try a bit. Let me not do it, okay? I deal with a lot of people. I've been with Buddhism more than half my life, more than 50 years. And I know a lot of people. I wish I did not know them. There's really lots of bad monks and some really very toxic lay people. And sometimes I'm so unhappy with them, I want to write something to just tell them, don't be like that, But then I know if I were to publish that sort of writing, a lot of people won't be happy. So what I do is I'll write it out, then I'll read it, or I'll read it to my captive audience called Ratna. I say, what do you think? Okay. But she always says nice, but then when I think, I say, okay, I'm just reading this, I'm not going to publish this. So I consign it to the mortuary or to the what's called the PH box, the posthumous box. That means maybe it will be published after I'm dead, all right? So sometimes we need not do those things that we thought we really want to do because we're angry. Just don't do it. Sometimes it's better that way. So think about this, yeah? Now, this one is a bit tricky, okay? These are actually meant for monks, but if you're really a serious meditator and you're really caught in a corner, you find it doesn't work, maybe you can try this. Perception of foulness, asubha sanya, especially for people who have a lot of lust. Remember, usually we don't do this on our own. We need a proper teacher. Remember, a proper teacher, not any guru. There's so many of them out there. So if you're not sure, don't try this. But you can try a simple aspect of it, a simple dosage, if you like. Reflect on the unactive part of the object. This is fine. Let's say you're caught up with someone. You're really crazy about someone, and you should not be. We normally like a certain aspect of a person, but if you look carefully, there are certain angles, certain parts, certain way of looking at a person will make us think twice, make us not like this person. In other words, see the negative, unattractive part of that person, you find you have less, you cut down the desire, the lust for that person or that thing even, yeah? So this is one way, all right? Here basically is reflecting on the body as something which is really not nice, okay? We are a skin bag of flesh and bone with goo and gunk. I like this poetic thing. Oozing out through the body's 9 openings. We must have been nervous typing this. We make a typo here, embarrassing to the public, aren't we? Body is spelled with a P, huh? Okay, so anyway, this is the interesting part. You know that what is body is, eh? That's your wisdom, okay? So you have all these oozing things coming out of the body. So you better think twice. Try not washing for a full day after going running and exercising. So that's your body, okay? So don't get too attracted to it. It doesn't mean you should not clean yourself. It's just that that's the way the body is. Now, next week, we're going to do a beautiful sutta, or rather Therigatha. This is the one, Subha Therigatha. Basically, this is about this beautiful young nun. She is already a non-returner. And then this young man, according to some version, is her ex-boyfriend. So he's a bit drunk. So he's in love with this beautiful young nun. And he says, oh, you know, you've got such beautiful eyes. And then basically the story goes, this nun plucks out her eye and says, here you are, you want my eye, you think it's nice, have it, you know. And this poor young man got so shocked that he got his eye in front of him, and then he lost his lust, no more lust right away. But the story is more amazing than that. Here, basically, we should not. We start off usually by liking a certain part of a person, and that is very silly. You'll never marry someone because you like the person's hair. You can always just collect the hair and take it home, you know. You don't have to marry the person. You marry the person totally, not just the body, everything, you know. So you have, and after that you start learning things, all right? So this is the meaning here. You have to reflect on this. Then there is the Giaya Sutta. This is about a monk who actually was lovesick and fell in love with this really beautiful woman who was a courtesan of the city, by the way. And he fell in love with her so badly that he couldn't eat. And when this woman wanted to give dana to monks, he was so excited he went there. And then this beautiful woman, Sarima, dies. And then her body starts bloating up. And then the Buddha wanted to teach this monk a lesson. The Buddha told the king, can you please just leave the body for a few days, let it bloat up a bit. Then when the body is bloated up, the Buddha made an announcement. Okay, who would take this body? Okay, you can have this body now. You like this woman? And the monk looked at it and said, oh my goodness, this is someone else, you know, it's not her anymore. Then even when the Buddha said, okay, we will get someone to pay you, take this body, nobody wanted it either. So there you are, that's the nature of the body. You like it one day, you don't like it another day, yeah? So reflect on it. Loving kindness is what's called unconditional acceptance. You accept people as they are, you accept yourself as you are, and you go from there, okay? So this perception of foulness is looking at negative aspects of you on account of lust, on account of strong desire. So, and you do this only if you need to, and always end with some practice of loving kindness, remember. So this last one on the rotting carcass is especially for monks who need it, and they'll be guided to practice this, the stages of the decomposition of the body, okay? Nothing is attractive or repulsive. Thinking make it so. So it starts in the mind. Okay, we see something nice, something ugly. So know how your mind works. Now we come to the last fourth effort to cultivate. We have again this sutta on the 4 efforts, Padhāna Sutta. And here again, we have the 7 awakening factors. And these are good to know. The first thing is cultivate your mindfulness. Know what is mindfulness, how to keep mindfulness. Mindfulness basically is one thing at a time. For example, the breath, loving kindness, focus on that, okay? This eagle here, it flies alone. It's not afraid to fly alone. It flies high in the sky. So when you meditate, you're like this eagle, okay? You can see this beautiful landscape all around you. You're mindful of beautiful things in front of you, around you. You're floating in this air. With this mindfulness, you investigate. What kind of mind do I have? What's going on here? You are watching your own mind. So you're like a doctor. If you have anger, watch. What is anger? Be curious. Say, wow, this is anger. And you notice it's not a very good thing. You notice the heart rate, you notice how you feel. So this is anger. And you learn something about yourself. Your body is the teacher in this case. So this is one meaning of investigating mental states. And when you're full of desire, what is it? Examine it. It's not easy, this one, but try. And then when you're confused, when you have fear, You know, one of the things about growing old, we do get fear. We fear death, we fear darkness, we fear loneliness, we fear close places, and so on. So look at this. Okay, this is the feeling. It's just a feeling, all right? And then you do what needs to be done after that. Okay, you learn the ways of getting out of that kind of state. For example, if you have fear, then go into loving kindness, sit down quietly and do your loving kindness. Don't think about that, those fearful thoughts. If you feel negative, you feel depressed, which is a dark, heavy feeling, go to a bright place, go to this room and turn on the bright lights and sit down there in the bright light, or look at the bright shrine, a Buddha shrine, or something bright in front of you. Okay, so these are how you investigate your mind and you deal with it. But this is outside of meditation. During meditation, you watch your mind as it is, and then accept it as it is, let it go, then go back to your object of meditation. That's mindfulness. Effort, that means you keep on doing it. You keep on doing it. Okay, you make that effort, so it becomes energy. Don't give up, and do it in a smiling way, happy way. And you keep on doing this, zest, joyful interest arises. I have this friend who, reads checks the Pali part of my translation. I told him, I said, hey, you don't overwork yourself, okay? And don't get burnout. He says, oh, I have no problem with that. In fact, the moment I start checking the Pali, I forget time. I got lost in it, I got carried away, so to speak. So he has this joyful interest. That he's so happy with what he's doing, so he moves on. But even then, physically, you must know when to stop. You can feel it. Right? So this is when you're happy doing something, especially something good. It's called zest, piti. All right. Notice the word sambhojana. Sometimes you can use the word bhojana by itself. Bhojana, bodhi becomes bodja, bodhi plus anga. In Sanskrit, you get bodhyanga. You can see the components more clearly. Bodhi plus anga, and then sam is like corn or com to focus it. So sambhojanga, strengthening it here. So it becomes awakening factor, something that leads you to awakening. Don't doubt yourself that, some of us think, oh, we'll never get awakened in this life. If you keep on thinking about being calm and clear in your mind, you're on the way to awakening. Even if you are an inch nearer, you are one, what do you call, you are 1 millimeter nearer, that's still nearer. So don't underestimate yourself, right? So when you have this joyful interest, you keep on doing it, and then after that you feel tranquil, peaceful, passaddhi. You feel this inner joy, okay? Passaddhi, tranquility. The zest, which is exuberant, becomes more calm, peaceful joy. And then concentration comes in, you're more focused. Your mind is clearer, calm and clear. And that's when, if you go along that direction, equanimity arises. You might get jhana, you might get samadhi, a bit deeper, and your mind is more focused. Right? So these are the 7 awakening factors. Mindfulness, investigation of states, 4 mental states. Effort, zest, tranquility, concentration, equanimity. Again, you see these 7 awakening factors in the famous formula called the Samanyapala, or fruits of recluseship formula. This is a passage which is found in the Samanyapala Sutta and occasionally in the suttas, like in the Digha, especially the first 13 suttas, I think. So you find all the 7 aspects of the 7 awakening factors are found in the passage. He establishes mindfulness before him. So you see mindfulness there. And then the monk sees that these 5 hindrances are abandoned in him, seeing that these 5 hindrances are abandoned in him. So here you notice he investigates mental state, so he notices the hindrances. Then he makes effort. All right, so here he meditates. All right, and then joy arises. So here the passage says, gladness arises, and because of gladness, zest arises. And then he goes on, when the mind is zestful, the body becomes tranquil. And when the body is tranquil, he knows happiness, sukha, right? And then when he is happy, his mind is concentrated, that is concentration. And he enters and remains the first jhana, and then the first jhana factors are given there. Initial application and sustained application, his mind is free, and he has zest and happiness born of seclusion. He goes in the second jhana and third jhana, fourth jhana, and so on. Okay? So here equanimity arises. Here you notice the context of equanimity. He experiences happiness with the body. He enters and remains the third jhana, of which the noble ones declare, happily he dwells in equanimity. Like there you see the word there. And mindfulness. He enters and dwells in the fourth jhana, with mindfulness fully purified by equanimity. So notice equanimity is often mentioned in the jhanas, right? Well, this is the specific meaning of equanimity. You can also take equanimity in the broad sense to refer to your mind being focused, generally speaking, especially if you don't go into jhanas. All right, so here you are. We have another formula called the viveka nissita formula, where you can see some idea or essence of the awakening factors. This viveka nissita sutta, dependent on solitude, is a little bit later in the monk's progress, in the meditator's progress, when the monk is a good meditator and he is like nearing awakening. Here, bhikshus, a monk wisely reflecting cultivates the awakening factor of mindfulness, right? So he goes on cultivating the awakening factors. Dependent on solitude, in other words, he keeps his mind away from the hindrances. He's able to hold his mind just the way it is, at peace. Okay, so the Pali words are on the right, viveka nissita, and then you can see the bottom there, the meaning solitude here. There are two kinds. You start with physical solitude, that is a quiet place to meditate. When you close your eyes and the place is quiet, you have solitude already, even though you may be in a crowded place. Okay. You know, once, many years ago, I was walking along Orchard Road in the busiest part of Singapore, and there was this young man, very interesting young man. He has drawn a circle around him on this busy Orchard Road street, and he's sitting in there meditating, and he says, "Join me." You should have drawn a bigger circle. It was quite a small circle. So there you are. He has created this solitude in a busy place in Singapore. It's a pity I can't talk to him because he's meditating. It's very nice. This is the kind of person we should know. Eh? So he's created this solitude for himself in this really odd place. And the second meaning is mental solitude, that is overcoming of the mental hindrances. You overcome all these negative aspects of your mind, starting with negative desires. So this is solitude. Then the formula goes on, says, dependent on fading away of lust. So in other words, the hindrances have been overcome, so lust goes away. You're free from lust, viraga, nissita, and then suffering ends. Cessation refers to suffering, dependent on cessation. All right, nirodha, nissita. Ripening and letting go of defilements, dependent, this is letting go, relinquishment of all those negative qualities, vosagga, all right? Okay, so this is a bit too fast, all right? So this, here bhikshus, among wisely reflecting, cultivates awakening, the awakening factor of mindfulness, dependent on solitude, dependent on fading away, dependent on cessation, dependent in, or ripening in letting go. So that's when this last line means he attains certain states of attainment, like jhana or even string winning and so on. All right. So this is when the seven awakening factors already really worked their their fruit, and you are enjoying, you're going to attain this really high level of the path. So you find this viveka nissita formula in the Padhāna Sutta, which is D number 2, notice. And there, the sutta says, possessing the aggregate of noble moral virtue, this aggregate of noble sense restraint, the aggregate of noble mindfulness and clear knowing, this aggregate of noble contentment, he resorts to a secluded dwelling. So he has already really kept all this practice really good, all these precepts and so on. So now he goes into meditation quietly in some quiet place, maybe a forest, the foot of a tree, a mountain, a gully or gorge, a hillside cave, somewhere really quiet, a cemetery, a remote forest or jungle grove, or the open air, a heap of straw. All right, so a quiet place. Here it's often said of the monk returning from his alms round after his meal. He sits down, crosses his legs, keeps his body upright, body erect, and establishes mindfulness before him. Notice after his meal, normally we will fall asleep, but in the case of this monk, he's a noble disciple. That means he's already at least a stream winner. He is able to meditate quite easily. Doesn't mean we cannot try. We can try too. Okay? So this is an example of telling us those who are ahead of us, or whose example we can follow. So you see this old monk sitting on the right here, happily. Huh? So this example how the awakening factors are put together in what is called a pericope. A pericope is a kind of a stock passage that's often used in the suttas. So this is physical solitude. Then you have mental solitude. The suttas again say, abandoning covetousness with regard to the world. Okay, this is, for example, from the Padhāna Sutta, right? Letting go of all desire for worldly things through what we see, smell, taste, touch, and so on. He dwells in a mind devoid of covetousness. It cleanses his mind of covetousness. When we meditate, that's what we do. Clear our minds from what we like or what we don't like. Next, we're abandoning anger, ill will, and anger. He dwells with a mind devoid of ill will and anger. Sympathetic towards the welfare of all living beings. In other words, we show loving kindness, compassion. He cleanses his mind of ill will. Abandoning sloth and torpor, he dwells with a mind devoid of sloth and torpor, mindful, alert, perceiving light. Notice this. We'll come back to this in a moment. He cleanses his mind of sloth and torpor. So if you are asleep in your meditation, face the light, okay? So keep your eyes open, face something bright, or meditate in a bright place, or practice the perception of light. Go to a bright place in the morning around, say, 9, 10 o'clock, on a spot you can see maybe a broad seaside, or a mountain looking down, and then just perceive the light. This meditation you do with open eyes. Light, light, light. Close your eyes. Remember this image of light in your mind. Keep this brightness in your mind. And this is very helpful when you want to overcome depression. This perception of light. Picture this light in your mind. It goes with perception of space, right? Same thing, same place. Instead of light, you say space, space. So you're aware of the spaciousness in front of you. So this is two perceptions which are quite easy to do, which can be very helpful. Here it is, how to use it, all right? Perceiving light. And then number 4, abandoning restlessness and worry, he dwells undisturbed. The mind inwardly still, he cleanses his mind of restlessness and worry, letting go of the past, letting go of the future. And then finally, abandoning doubt, he dwells, having crossed over doubt. No perplexity with regard to the wholesome states. He cleanses his mind of doubt. Don't worry too much about things. Sometimes we study sutta, then we start arguing. Did the Buddha say this? Oh no, the Buddha said that another way. And we start arguing over these little points. The thing is, if you know that the Buddha teaches us to be at peace with ourselves, to keep our minds wholesome. We wouldn't worry too much about worrying all this nitty-gritty. Okay, so that we don't have to be academic in that way. Okay, we're not getting paid for it anyway. As a scholar, we are working for mental peace. So this is from the Padhāna Sutta. Okay, this is mental solitude, overcoming the 5 mental hindrances. All right, we're coming near the end. Okay, so now we have 2 important things that will help us in our right efforts in meditation. Wise attention, we mentioned earlier, spiritual friendship. So wise attention, as a reminder again, is perceiving the emptiness in all our sense experiences. That defines our life, all our sense experiences. That's all we are. So all these things are impermanent, even when we do not observe them. But when we observe them, they become real. Okay, so they become useful to us. So do that. Okay? Perception of impermanence. Spiritual friendship, kalyana mittata. Kalyana means good, mitta, friend, okay, good friend, true friend, spiritual friend. The tutelage of an experienced meditation teacher. Encouragement and guidance by such a teacher in meditation. So we all should try to be a spiritual friend to others. One of the most beautiful compliments someone gave me recently was to say, he was really a friend to me. He was kind to me. And that's really wonderful. This is what Ananda said of the Buddha. He was kind to me. So that's a really beautiful compliment you can give someone in Dharma who has been kind to you. So that's about spiritual friendship. Of course, you need to know Dharma. You need to have some mental calmness, some teaching some really good things for people. So we have to practice now. By practice, we teach through our own experience. So here in this sutta, Upada Sutta, is about spiritual friendship, where Ananda one day is very happy. He tells the Buddha, say, oh, Bhante, spiritual friendship, good companionship, good comradeship is half of the holy life. He thought 50% was really great, because the holy life has got so many things, sila, samadhi, panya. So let's say half of it is spiritual friendship. So he told the Buddha that. And the Buddha said, not so, Ananda, not so, Ananda. Spiritual friendship, good companionship, coverage is the whole of the spiritual life, is the whole of the holy life. The whole of our life as a Buddhist is spiritual friendship. We start by making friends with ourselves. You got to see all the good things in you. Then you start making friends with others so that you have this happy surrounding around you. Then you make friends with your mind. You train your mind. You free your mind. Okay. So when a monk has a spiritual friend, when a meditator has a spiritual friend, a good companion, a good comrade, it is to be expected that he will develop the Noble Eightfold Path, right? So someone who brings you, someone who encourages you to go to the Eightfold Path, that is a spiritual friend. So there you are. Ananda says the Buddha, spiritual friendship is the whole of the spiritual life. And how, Ananda, does a monk has a spiritual friendship cultivate, develop the Noble Eightfold Path? Here, Ananda, a monk cultivates right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration. There you are. So this is what a spiritual friend does. Guide the other person on the path by knowing these things. Based on seclusion, on dispassion, on cessation, maturing, and the release. The last line is the viveka nissita formula. It's just one line. Okay, it is a summary of how the Four Noble Truths work in us. So there you are. This again about spiritual friendship. So in this way too, Ananda says the Buddha, it should be known in a manner of speaking how the whole of the holy life is spiritual friendship. And by relying on me, so here the Buddha is talking about himself as a spiritual friend, Ananda, being subject to birth, beings are freed from birth. Being subject to decay are freed from decay. Being subject to death are freed from death. being subject to sorrow, lamentation, bodily pain, mental pain, and despair, are freed from them. In this way, Ananda, it should be known in a manner of speaking, how spiritual friendship, good companionship, good comradeship is the whole of the holy life. So, the Buddha is more than a teacher. He's a friend to us. He doesn't need to teach us, but he teaches us so that we are free from suffering. We, through our own effort, we will be able to awaken like the Buddha. That is the best of spiritual friendship. Okay, there you see Ananda. I notice his going through his cell, as it were. This is the artist kind of convention. He's consoling Ananda.
The Buddha's arm, not Ananda's arm.
Sorry, the Buddha's arm, yes. The Buddha's arm is touching Ananda. Okay, so I suppose this is the time when the Buddha is announcing he's going to pass away. I think. So Ananda is kind of very sad. Read up the Mahaparinibbana Sutta D16. Okay. So there you are. Effort to guard. Here we're kind of summarizing before we end. Guarding or maintaining the arisen wholesome states. You continue to refine the 7 awakening factors. Practice samadhi, meaning focus your meditation. Then you will reach the path by reflection on impermanence. You say, and aspiring, I want to attain swim winning in this life itself. Okay. Now this is no big deal, you know, because a lot of people don't want to do this because they say, oh dear, I have to give up golfing, I've got to give up so many things. There are lots of lay people in Buddha's time. They were kings and businessmen, you know, but they became stream winners. In other words, they become better people, basically. That's the path. You start with stream winning. Of course, if you don't, then next life will be the subhuman states, you know, animal world, the preta world, hell beings, and so on. So that's not very pleasant. So you see directly into true reality, become a stream winner, at least, if you aspire for the path in this life itself. And then here, the suttas often tell us to guard a special sign of our meditation, the focus. In this case, they refer especially to the 6 stages of bodily decay. I mean, this is found in Satipatthana Sutta also. This again, especially for monks, but in special cases, laymen can do this with metta. Here you are, you have these 6 stages: a skeleton, a worm-infested corpse, a discolored corpse, festering corpse, a fissured corpse, a bloated corpse. Okay. As I said, the Buddha teaches this for very specific cases of people with lots of lust to overcome this and do it with loving kindness. So basically, guard that beautiful sign in your meditation, it's called Baddhaka, that focus, the brightness in your meditation, and that's one way you can overcome lust. When you're happy in your meditation, that is why we are encouraged to smile in our meditation, so that the state that is Baddhaka, beautiful, auspicious, will arise. You want to know more about the 9 stages of bodily decomposition? Look in the Satipatthana Sutta, the M10. Okay, that's good enough, right? Mahasatipatthana is too long. Don't worry too much about it. Okay, there we are. So finally, I've done all my talk, and we only have 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right, question time.
All right. We have a question here. Question from Yong. Brother Piya, how do we know we have progress in our meditation? Thank you.
All right. I think my simple answer, you won't know, because that's not how meditation works. We're talking about meditating to awaken, right? It's a long-term goal. So you don't you have a monthly check or yearly check, how am I progressing? There's no way of doing that. If there's anyone who does that, I'm to tell you to be very careful of that person. There's no way of certifying your meditation. There's no way of exactly knowing your meditation. I say not exactly, because yes, you can know whether you have progressed or not. A general kind of answer. First thing to remember is, even when you sit and meditate and you fall asleep, but that 15 minutes, that 1 hour, you did not get up and do something else, but you sat down there, you are keeping the precepts. So that's why it's good to recite the precepts before you start. So no matter what you do, you are keeping the precepts, even if you fall asleep. Okay, that's one thing, all right? So when you sit quietly like that, you'll be surprised. Your mind is quite still. Notice when you're angry, what's going on in your body? Wow, you can feel that very negative kind of feeling inside your body, your heart rate and so on. You can feel that. So here's the opposite of that. So there's no such thing as a bad meditation if you take the trouble to sit. So this is going to build up over the years. And remember, we are growing older. I started 50 years ago, and I've been doing little meditation every day, you know. Now even when I do yoga, I do this focus. I learn to focus, reciting Namo Tassa and so on, as I do this elder, what's called senior yoga, to just keep myself healthy. Right, so we do that. So we keep on doing these little bits of meditation, and sometimes you sit and you find, wow, you can sit longer over time. So you get better as you grow older. So when you start young, some parents even teach their children to meditate. So imagine how lucky these children are when they learn to meditate. And they even do that in schools nowadays. You have teaching meditation programs. So you will notice you are basically more calm in your life. So that's the sign that you're progressing in your meditation. If you find you are not, then examine, find out from different teachers and see whether the object that you are using, whether your approach to the object, are they correct or not? So these are things you need to ask, okay? And then again, maybe it's how you deal with the problems around you in daily life, okay, that is troubling you. And sometimes it could be your job, for example, you know, so your job is hurting you. So these are things you have to consider, how to improve your life quality, basically. So meditation does that. So ask yourself these questions, okay? All right, next question, please.
Okay, thank you. We just take the question from the chat box first, then later we'll call on those people who put up their hands.
All right.
Just wait a while. Okay. Next one, we have a question from Sister Eileen. Is reflecting on the law of cause and effect also part of the Dharma Vichaya?
Well, you can, I suppose, if you notice certain things that happen to you when you're meditating, you notice pain arising and passing away, or you notice how pain arises, yeah, in that sense, you can say yes. Okay, but it's not an easy thing to reflect on. But pain is one easy object to use this kind of approach. Okay. Thoughts are a bit tricky. You can notice thoughts coming and then arising, but then the problem, we tend to get caught up with the thoughts, so that's where we lose ourselves. So pain is the easiest here. All right. Sound, you can also listen to sound. Sound comes and goes, but sound is kind of quite short. Huh? Then again, you can notice the effect of sound. For example, sometimes you have sustained sound, someone's very noisy, and you find that, oh, the sound comes, after a while, you don't care about it, you know, so it doesn't trouble you. So that's another thing you can notice. So it's how you think, right? One of the things in Singapore we often complain is someone upstairs is running very noisily up and down. You can hear them. That's one thing about living in flats. So what I do is I tell myself, this little kid up there running up and down. I say, oh, that's nice, you know. We have this young, healthy kid, you know, and it's all this COVID, you know, it's making him feeling really active. So it's good to hear him running up and down. I'd be worried here. Everything is so quiet. You don't hear anything. So you begin to feel this loving kindness when you hear the little feet pattering up and down. So you don't You don't get angry because we tell ourselves to be angry. You know, we say, oh, those are nasty feet. Get angry. You know, that's how we program ourselves. Then we get angry. See? So you reverse the programming. You say, I'm not going to get angry. When I hear the little feet, I say, oh, beautiful little feet, good little child. You're very happy. There's someone happy out there, and you feel good. It's like your own child is running up and down there, so you don't feel angry. So this is how we learn to live with others through meditation. We use our meditation in daily life. You start there, okay? Because if a meditation is not useful in your daily life, then something is wrong, isn't it? Right? So it's useful inside you. It's also useful outside you. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. One more question, huh? Why in the suttas the Buddha always the follower, it says that 500 disciples, 2,000 disciples, etc. It always end in a whole number and not say 524, etc.
Yep, good question. Numbers, okay. We are talking about 2,500 years ago, when the people of India, they were not really that mathematically advanced like today, okay. So all these numbers are estimates. So 500 means a big number. You don't hear 1,000, you hear 500. So it means quite a lot, quite a big number. I don't know how many exactly, okay. So hyperbole, there's a lot of hyperbole in Indian culture. So don't mind too many zeros. You know, for example, when the suttas talk about cosmology, wow, so many zeros. And mind you, in the suttas, especially the later suttas, the Sanskrit tradition, they actually have names, they have terms for how many zeros there are in that number. That shows the advance of mathematics. And this, if you're doing maths, yeah, you find all this very interesting. But in the suttas, you don't see this kind of scientific, this technical numbering. It just simply means a lot of monks are following the Buddha. So don't worry too much about the numbers. The numbers are put in there just to capture the imagination of the Indian audience at that time. So we today, we say, what, only 500? Right, it's not a big number. So we don't really, we shouldn't care too much about the numbers, okay? All right.
Okay, thank you. Okay, please unmute yourself, Arthur.
Yes, Arthur.
Please unmute yourself.
Hi, Piya and Ratna. Thank you for the class. I have a question. Does it make sense to look at sloth and torpor and restlessness? I forgot the second part of the restlessness, but as sort of opposing pairs where one is too little activity and then the other hindrance is too much activity?
Yes. Yeah, that's one way of looking at it, yes. So you can examine what is it really at the bottom of it. And then sometimes you may not get it right there as you're meditating. As you're meditating, you shouldn't be doing that. It's during the review period, you look back. That's a very good time to examine what really is going on. You're fresh out of meditation, then you look at it and say, oh, okay, I was restless. Why? Oh, I was thinking of doing something, all right? So next time you make sure you do that first before you meditate, for example, right? Worries about the past, something you did, so you kind of sort that one out. A thought from the past makes you feel worried. Oh, I did this, I did that. So that's when you need to do loving kindness. I forgive myself, everything. I totally accept myself. So but by saying that, you will not feel guilty. You will not like blame yourself for those things in the past, basically. Okay, or talk to someone who's a good, kind counselor, you know, to sort out those things in the past. So this meditation brings out some aspects of you which needs dealing sometimes. So this review period, you look back, the hindrances are formats you can use to kind of identify some of the issues you have. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, if I'm not answered completely, ask again, all right?
Okay, Sister Exil, please unmute yourself.
Yes, Exil.
Yeah, thank you, Brother Piya and Sister Ratna. If I may clarify, in all the steps for this right effort, I just wonder whether because I want to ask in reference to the Abhijja Sutta, where it seems like it's kind of a linear path with that gradual step up kind of practice, or it can just be a random of any of these parts.
Or you're talking about the path?
Yeah, the Abhijja Sutta, where it listed the 10 steps from having kaya nimitta and then listening to the Dharma, having the faith.
Okay.
Or it actually goes up to the cultivation of sattva bojjhanga or the Padhāna.
All right.
So that seems like a linear path where you need to do it step by step.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. This question sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Many of those sets of teachings, they are given to us as a sequence. So when you teach, you see a kind of a logical sequence how things develop. But then in practice, you find when you develop, especially mindfulness, when you develop mindfulness, you can like jump straight away to focus, you know, right? So once you have developed those qualities, a lot of things can happen anytime, basically. It doesn't follow the sequence anymore. The sequence is there, but it's like more compact, so to speak, right? It's just like, you know, you find Padhāna Sutta says, you see one noble truth, you see all the four, for example, right? But then you must know what all the other three are, at least theoretically, you see. So if you practice carefully, any of the, say, any of the, what you call, other 7 factors of the Eightfold Path, any of them can lead you to attaining streamlining, for example, because there is always right view there. See, right view is always present in all the other 7 factors. So this is where we cannot, streamline. You cannot compartmentalize the teachings, or this is A and that's B. The teaching has no name, okay? But when the Buddha teaches us, he names all these various skillful means so that we're able to follow it. But once you practice, there is this thing, something's changing inside you. You're growing up in a spiritual way. So a lot of surprises can arise. But remember that development is always gradual. Like the path, like the sea deepening, the Buddha says, right? Meaning you got to keep on doing it. And when you have attained something, you feel very calm and peaceful. The Buddha always says, there is something more to do. That's the word he always uses, uttari. There's always something more to do. Don't stop. So there is that gradual path, and the awakening can happen anytime, at any stage. Meantime, you keep on doing, don't stop. It's okay to walk slowly along the path. Don't stop, don't fall back, basically. All right? Okay. Right, one more question.
Okay. Last question. Is the 7 awakening factors, is it the normal way leading to realization of the path? By LCG.
Yeah, you can say the 7 awakening factors also can do that. You see, we don't just take one set of teachings and then, you know, say, okay, we're going that way. These teachings are like launching pads, all right? We practice it and then we go in a certain way, our minds become free. A lot of other things will help us also, not just those things. They're all, imagine the dharmas. I remember someone drew this amazing diagram, very tiny little print, and it connects all the teachings you can imagine, all the teachings you have heard. Everything is put in this really big page, you know, and all the tiny little words and the teachings are all connected. Something like that. All the teachings are connected. All right. So it's hard to know, okay, how does this lead to that and so on. Yeah, you can talk about it and get a PhD for it, but that's just a theoretical idea. Changing, becoming a better person has no name. You're happy. And that's when you start talking, you just know what to say about the Dharma. You begin to connect all the Dharma together and you're very happy. Okay. Any last desperate question?
Anybody has any question? If not, we'll close our class for today.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much for all your questions and staying with us for the more than 2 hours.
Yes. Okay. So, you know, sometimes I look at the number of slides, I thought, okay, we have enough time, but sometimes we do get carried away a bit, huh? Okay. Now, let us close by reflecting on this wonderful moment. During this weekend, we made a small renunciation. We've given up a bit of worldly pleasure to be here. And this is a wonderful act of renunciation by lay people like you all. And remember this, in this moment of renunciation, we all have kept the 5 precepts, which are very important. The 5 precepts are the basis of all other precepts, even the monks' Vinaya. Even the monks are supposed to keep at least the 5 precepts too. So you remember this moment in your reflection on morality, moral virtue, sila nusati, to help your meditation. You have taken your refuge in the 3 jewels. You have done some meditation and listen to the Dharma. It's all very good karma. This power, may you be well and happy. May I be well and happy. Send your kind thoughts to your loved ones, to your friends, relatives, even enemies. So those who are not happy with you, send your kind thoughts to them that they will be happy with you. This is the moment that may you grow in wisdom, may you grow in peace, and you reach the path in this life itself. With that in mind, let us show our gratitude to the Buddha, our true teacher, the Dharma, the true teaching that he has given us, and to all the great saints of the past who have given us noble examples. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava, Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivademi. Bow down. Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namasami. Bow down. Supatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Sanghang Namami. Bow down. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu. Thank you very much.
Right, it's the moment I like best. Everyone's happy, smiling, and our class is finished.
Brother Piya, Sister
Yes.
Ratna.
Thank you. Good night. Have a good weekend.